All right. I'm so excited for this. Okay. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Chisscast. Unfortunately for y'all, I decided to not shut up about Thrawn and his friends, so I'm thinking I'm gonna do this like every 2 weeks so it doesn't get like too often, too repetitive. I'm gonna eventually run out of things to say probably. But yeah, every 2 weeks sounds good to me. Don't know if it sounds good to you, but yeah. So if you're new here, this is a podcast where I just sit and talk about Thrawn and Friends for an hour or 30 minutes. And today's topic. Can you imagine that we have a topic today? Crazy, right? So today's topic was one that sparked a lot of debate on tumblr.com, and it sparked a lot of thoughts in my own little head. Or rather, that debate, not that actual topic. We're going to talk about whether Thrawn is evil or not. Now that is a question. Oh boy. This fandom has quite a history, a very recent history that is still going on, of woobifying, as they say, certain villains that are definitely evil. But we're going to pause this train of thought for a second and let's talk about the Chiss news. I want to talk about the things that happened in Chissland in the past week, 2 weeks. I talked about the notes that Del Rey Books posted. Well, Star Wars books, not Del Rey Books. They posted on their Twitter account. That was basically Timothy Zahn and his editor brainstorming about the Ascendancy trilogy. And we all freaked out about that because the word navigator was mentioned at least twice. And if you know me from Twitter, you know that ex-navigator Thrawn is like my favorite headcanon ever. And so interesting developments have happened since then. So I honestly don't know who and how much, but apparently someone screamed about Force-sensitive Thrawn enough that Timothy Zahn himself felt the need to go onto his Facebook page and clarify that Thrawn is in no way Force-sensitive, and there's not going to be any, magical reveal in the Ascendancy trilogy. Which, to me, it's not only I'm gonna be honest, I was a little bit sad about that, but to me it's just wild that he felt the need to clarify that, because I don't know about other social media sites. I basically only reside on Tumblr and Twitter, but Tumblr doesn't seem to be very into the headcanon that Thrawn was Force sensitive. On Twitter, I've seen multiple people speculate that, and I've also, I think Star Wars Explained did an interview with Timothy Zahn, and they asked him about it, and but that was like a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Anyway, so they asked him, and he said that that wasn't his intention, because after alliances, as I understand, because I wasn't a Thrawn fan back then, but after alliances, a lot of people were like, the way that certain parts in the book were written, people were like, it seems like this implies that Thrawn has been a Chiss navigator as a child, and Timothy Zahn said that it wasn't his idea. But I mean, we all still kind of hoped for it because it's a damn cool headcanon. But who and why? Because he felt the need to say that days after the Star Wars books posted that those notes, and it's still really strange to me. what made him want to clarify that? Like, who was, because, like, in my experience, nobody is as loud about X Navigator Thrawn as me and my Twitter friends. And, like, I refuse to believe that it was because he saw our tweets and decided that, hey, I don't want to. I don't want these people to get hyped up and then be disappointed. Like, it can be because of us, right? It can be. I refuse to believe that, because if that's true, then whoa. Hello, I'm Mr. Timothy Zahn. I am so sorry if you've seen any of my tweets. I'm a little bit feral. I'm not sorry. I'm just. So that happened. What else happened? Something else happened. Well, aside from Timothy Zahn posting a screenshot on his Twitter page that had my reply in the screenshot with the display name Thrawn's PR manager. Well, that's it's a story that is only relevant to me, really. So there's no reason talking about that. You all saw that if if you're on Twitter, which you most likely are if you're listening to this. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm trying to think of if anything else happened in the past week. But yeah, I don't think it did. So let's get back to our main topic that I chose for this week. And I feel like it's very dangerous ground to tread on, especially in this fandom. And I'm always hesitant to talk about this because I don't want to be called a hypocrite, even though I know I'm right. Okay, so there was a post on Tumblr by some person, and I don't mean to insult them or their point of view, but basically they were like, why are y'all making out Thrawn and Ezra to be like buddies? That's not going to happen. Thrawn is literally evil and he will always be. And then a bunch of people naturally jumped to sort of explain their interpretation of Thrawn and why they think he's not evil. And that was, it was a civil discussion, which I really enjoyed. You don't get that a lot on Tumblr. But I have to have my own take on it. Like, I have to get this out into the world. So, for starters, Thrawn is a terrible person. He's a fucking shithead. I mean, manipulative ass bitch. He's just objectively awful. But is he evil? I don't think so. I don't think he is evil. Well, I guess depends on your definition of evil, but I feel like a person who is evil, he wants to do bad things on purpose. And he does them again and again, driven by hate or anger or rage or just because he's, well, evil. I don't really know how to put it into words. It sounds kind of stupid, but you know what I mean. An evil person is somebody who causes harm on purpose. And then Thrawn is a bad person. He's not a good person. He was a terrible friend to Eli, for one, and pretty much to every single person who ever came close to him. But he's not inherently evil. In fact, he wants to do good things. And he is a villain, obviously, because, like, that, I feel like that's the distinction that people fail to make. Like, a villain is not always evil. Villains can have other motivations than pure evil. Doesn't make them any less of a villain, doesn't make them any less bad. And once again, a bad person isn't always an evil person. And we're getting into philosophical territory here, but I feel like there are distinctions between these things. So, our beloved Blue Grand Admiral, who's a fucking bitch, and I love him, his motivations are not out of evil, but out of the desire to help and save and protect his people. Like, for example, like, that is the distinction between... That is the difference between him and, like, the Emperor. The Emperor is just evil. He wants power. He wants the entire galaxy to bow to him. and Vader just wants to destroy because he's so full of rage and anger and hate. Vader is evil, and Thrawn is a morally gray character, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand what that means. A lot of people don't realize that there's more to certain characters than just whether they're good or evil. And that's why it's not fair to call Thrawn evil, because he's not evil and he's not good. He's somewhere in between. He's never been a goody two-shoes and he never will be. But his main motivation, his main drive in all of the books except Heir to the Empire has been to help his people, to protect his people from the bigger dangers in the galaxy. And like, he's a smart man. He's a very, very smart man, and he realizes that there are bigger problems, like there are bigger enemies in the galaxy than the squabbles between the rebellion and the Empire. And I do understand the desire to make your fave out to be better than they actually are. I feel like that happens with people in real life. When you fall in love with someone and you see them better than they actually are, at least at first, or sometimes in general, like if you really truly do love a person and they've been in your life for a long time, you are more likely to see them as good and support them. Like you're going to view them as better than maybe somebody else views them. So that happens with our favorite characters as well. I perfectly understand falling in love with an absolute shithead of a character and wanting, you want them to be better. You're almost rooting for them to be better. Like, you love them for who they are, but also you kind of sometimes want them soft. You kind of want to baby them sometimes. Like, that universally happens in every fandom with every character that we fall in love with, and that's okay. But I feel like certain fans in the Star Wars fandom and in certain other fandoms take a little bit too far, because there's a big difference between headcanons and what is actually canon and what actually can become canon. And I really, really do love Thrawn as the villain. That's what's attractive about him. He is smart and he has his ulterior motives, and he will obliterate our beloved rebels in the sexiest way possible. Like, fuck, he's just hot in every way. Like, he's super smart, he has a sexy voice, he looks fucking stunning in almost every iteration. I love Imperial evil as Thrawn, and I see evil as in Rebels Thrawn was evil. I feel like that truly painted him as evil. And if you only look at Rebels, and if you only look at the Heir to the Empire and that whole trilogy, then yes, he is evil. I feel like it really depends on the piece of media you consume about him, because, if you read Outbound Flight, there is absolutely no way that you can read Thrawn as evil. If you read the 2017 Thrawn book, there is absolutely no way that you can read Thrawn as evil, or you really suck at reading comprehension. He works for an evil regime, yes. He doesn't... I actually don't know if he doesn't see a problem or he just pretends to not see a problem, because he knows that his end goal is more important than, like the whole Wookiee thing, Eli was upset about the Wookiee slaves, and Thrawn was like, they're an asset, they're important to the Empire. I actually wonder how he truly felt about it, because from Outbound Flight we know that he absolutely despised the Wagari because they were slavers. So I want to know what he truly thinks about that, because I can't imagine he is indifferent, because he has a moral compass. At least to some degree he knows, he values life, apparently, if we don't count the Rebels finale, where he was pretty much unhinged. Yeah, it's there are bound to be some inconsistencies in canon when things are written out of order. First came Rebels, and they didn't really consult with Zahn, if I know facts correctly. But I've heard that they didn't consult him while making it. They just told him that, hey, we're making this. We're putting Thrawn in the show. And then he wrote the book after Thrawn's appearance in Rebels. So yeah, I feel like, if you read, especially the new canon books, like there's no way to interpret Thrawn as an evil man, as an evil character, like plain old evil. And I can't be certain, as with everything that is in the future, but I am sure. I can't be certain, but I'm sure. Okay, I am convinced that the new Ascendancy trilogy is going to just cement that, Thrawn being a morally great character, because he was, like that's young Thrawn. And that means he was a little bit more, young, more idealistic. I mentioned that, but I really hope he's going to be a little bit like Outbound Flight Thrawn, and even a little bit more soft and ooh. You know what I said about wanting your favorite character to be kinder and better than they actually are? Like that. That's what I mean. And that's fine. And I will still be happy if he's going to turn out a complete prick, because that's what he is. But yeah, I'm sure that with the Ascendancy trilogy, there's going to be a lot of happy stuff for the fans who love evil Thrawn, and for the fans who want Thrawn to be more morally great / better than he is. It's really hard to express myself without repeating myself, but yeah, Thrawn is a I don't know, somebody on Twitter said that Thrawn is a morally great character working for an evil regime. Like he himself is not evil. He puts up with the Empire's bullshit because he knows that his end goal will be worth it. And honestly, I respect that so much, and that's why he's so charming. He's a very, very smart man, and he knows his priorities. And I'm still mad at him for, treating Eli like that when Eli clearly needed reassurance. But I'm also kind of at peace with it a little bit more, because Eli kind of got his reassurance. He got promoted, and he got to command the TIE Defender squad. Thrawn still thinks of him as a friend. God, I love Thrawn so much, and in my wildest dreams, in my absolute wildest dreams, even though Disney are cowards and they would never do it, in my wildest dreams, Thranto will become canon one day. It's what we deserve. It's what we deserve, truly. And speaking of Eli, he was essentially manipulated by Thrawn. And I've seen arguments that Thrawn isn't a really good friend to Eli. And yeah, Thrawn is a bad friend to Eli, but Eli is literally the purest and goodest boy, and he puts up with Thrawn's bullshit, and I really do feel like they love each other, even if, like not in a shippy way, but just genuinely they love and admire each other. So yeah, I love my favorite shithead Thrawn, and I hope we get to see actually more of him being evil, because one of the coolest things to me in Thrawn Treason was how he I think it was when Pharaoh went to the Grisk ship to investigate, and when Thrawn realized that there were explosives and that the aliens were gonna trigger them, he said, kill them all. And I could never replicate the way that he said it in the audiobook. Like, I don't know how it was when, like how it sounds when you read the actual book, but in the audiobook, the energy that had, the rush that I felt when I heard that line, and every time I hear that line, it is so fucking hot. Like God, and like one of my favorite parts of Heir to the Empire, in fact, was when Thrawn makes Rook execute that the not soldier, the bridge crew member. That was so cool. Like his whole speech, it was so cool. Like I love Thrawn as a villain, and I always feel kind of wary when talking about villain characters and whether they're good or evil, just because of how this fandom misinterpreted Kylo Ren. Because I do believe that with the way that Rebels ended, it was a setup for at least a partial Thrawn redemption. And I don't talk about it a lot on Twitter, but I think, well, at least I think we all talk about like, oh, like Thrawn and Ezra join forces, and they're gonna have to work together, but we don't really talk about it as a redemption, which I think we all don't talk about it as redemption because of the way certain fans treat redemption in this fandom, and in fact the way that Kylo Ren was treated in The Rise of Skywalker, how he pretty much redeemed himself, like as in like he forgave himself, because that scene with Han was just his memory. So like he literally forgave himself for all his crimes and then went to save Rey. It's like, you know, it was dumb. Okay, there, I said it was super dumb. Like that movie had its good moments, but that was the dumbest thing ever. Anyway, so that's why we don't talk about redemption, but I'm going to talk about Thrawn redemption today, because you know what? It's 2020. Live your best life, and I'm gonna live my best life as a Thrawn stanny. So Thrawn redemption. Makes me laugh because of all the fucking redemption bullshit. Anyway, so I feel like the ending of Rebels set up Thrawn to be at least partially redeemed, because I mean, like, what else can happen? Like, Thrawn and Ezra were yeeted into the unknown regions. God knows where they're gonna end up, and they're going to have to work together at one point or another if they want to survive. I truly believe that was what Dave meant, like by sending those two into the unknown regions. And at the end of the day, Thrawn's intentions are good. They're morally good, like he wants to save his people from the bigger dangers in the unknown regions. And I feel like, Ezra is going to learn a lot about the unknown regions and the bigger dangers and the Force in general, while like getting to know the navigators. And Thrawn is going to learn a lot from Ezra about being a better fucking person. Because like I said, Thrawn is not a good person. No, he's not a good person. He's terrible. He lies, he manipulates. He's the kind of the ends justify the means type of guy. So he's not good, but I truly hope that his adventures with Ezra are going to teach him how to be a better person, maybe how to be a better friend to Eli, and finally have a talk and say, hey, Eli, you're doing great. I'm proud of you. Because that's what Eli needs, And Thrawn didn't give it. You know what, like, from a personal standpoint, I really I vibe with Eli, because I too need constant reassurance from the people that I admire that I'm doing great. So like, I was even more mad when Thrawn didn't really give it to him. Okay, anyway, so what were we talking about? Oh right, Thrawn redemption. I can't stop saying that word because it's so ironic now. But yeah, Thrawn redemption 2020, guys. We're gonna totally see Thrawn redeemed. But yeah, I don't think he's going to fully be redeemed because he's, like he's a fucking old man. He's like what, 50 at this point at the end of Rebels. Like I had kind of him in like his mid 40s actually. At the end of Rebels. But yeah, like he's an old man. He's not going to change like magically turn into a goody two shoes. Still Thrawn. But I do believe that we're going to see him on the good side in whatever comes after Rebels. Hopefully that Rebels sequel wasn't just a rumor and it's actually happening and it's actually gonna be about the Chiss ascendancy because that would slap so hard and I want that so bad and I would be so sad if that will turn out to not be true, which probably it will, but yeah, so, we're all gonna be a little bit sad, but then we're gonna deal with it. So yeah, back to the whole question of is Thrawn evil or not? I think he's not evil. But, there's also a lot of, there's the three first books that literally, he's an evil bad guy there. Even though he's very smart and he's calculated. He's pretty evil in that book. And I actually have a headcanon that it was a clone. Because, like, it feels like Thrawn as he is now in the new canon, and even with, the way that he was in Outbound Flight, basically, he wouldn't have done the things that he did in Heir to the Empire and that whole trilogy. Because, well, first of all, Thrawn knew Anakin Skywalker, and this wasn't my thought. This was one of my mutuals on Twitter said that. I don't know who, sorry, I don't remember, but basically, Thrawn knows Anakin Skywalker in this new timeline, right? So, like, he would never, ever do things that he did to Luke and Leia. Like, he would never attempt to, like, capture them or kill them or steal Leia's children in this new continuity because he knew Anakin and he apparently deeply cared for Anakin because like the whole Alliance's book is about Thrawn struggling to accept that Anakin is gone. Like, I'm sorry, bitch, but that's love. So yeah, my headcanon is that the Heir to the Empire trilogy, Thrawn was a clone, which, if you read any other Legends books, you know that he did clone himself. I actually feel sad that that clone didn't survive. I would have liked to see the interaction between Luke, Mara, and the Thrawn clone. If in an alternate timeline, alternate universe. It's just called an AU. God, I'm forgetting I'm forgetting fandom terms, even though I use them literally every day. Okay, so I would like to see a scenario where Mara and Luke defeat those droids and they don't have to cut open the wall and flood the room, and they reanimate or awaken the Thrawn clone. And I would like to see that conversation because I wonder what kind of memories that Thrawn had. Like, what would he know who they are? At what point did Thrawn start growing that clone? Was it like way before that? Maybe it was like what would that conversation go like? Because I feel like it would depend on when the clone was made. Because like if he was made before the events of Heir to the Empire, then I feel like he wouldn't really, he wouldn't be, in general, he wouldn't be hostile to Luke and Mara. I feel like he would be more interested to know why they're here. So I would really love to see that conversation if you want to leave a comment on what you would think it would go like. Because I never really thought about it. Well, I think I thought about it when I was reading the book, but I never really thought about this in depth. But it would be a really cool scene to witness, and I kind of wanted to, like when I was reading the book, I was like, it would be so cool if they took that clone and then took it to the New Republic and just basically woke him up in the New Republic and filled him in on what happened and how would he react, and he would probably be like, well, there's a lot of big dangers in the unknown regions, let's go kill the evil things. And he would be like a reluctant ally to them. Or rather, they would be reluctant allies to him because they still remember what the original Thrawn did. And yeah, this is just rambling at this point, so I hope you enjoyed that. It's not gonna get any more professional than this, so deal with it. But yeah, I had fun. Rambling about Thrawn as always. So yeah, thank you so very much for listening to this episode of the Chisscast. I almost said Thrawncast because I keep calling that on Twitter. I don't know why, it's just so funny. Like, the Chisscast sounds cool, but the Thrawncast is so stupid. Anyway, so thank you for listening to another episode of the Chisscast. And may Warrior's fortune smile on your efforts.